In August 1415, Henry V sailed from England with a force of about 10,500 and laid siege to Harfleur. The city resisted longer than expected, but finally surrendered on September 22nd. Because of this unexpected delay, most of the campaign season was gone. Rather than march on Paris directly, Henry elected to make a raiding expedition across France toward English-occupied Calais. While heading for Calais, he found himself outmaneuvered and low on supplies, and had to fight a much larger French army at the Battle of Agincourt. Despite the problems and having a smaller force, his victory was near total. The French defeat was catastrophic. After the Battle of Agincourt, Henry retook much of Normandy for the first time in 2 centuries. A formal alliance was also made with Burgundy, which had taken Paris in 1418. The next year, 1420, Henry met with King Charles VI of France, signing the Treaty of Troyes, by which Henry finally married Charles's daughter, Catherine of Valois, and Henry's heirs would inherit the throne of France. The Dauphin, Charles VII, regime was thus declared illegitimate. Henry had now made a big footprint in France for the English. He later left back to England, leaving his brother and presumptive heir, Thomas, Duke of Clarence, in charge. However, the Duke of Clarence engaged a Franco-Scottish force of 5,000 men, led by John Stuart, Earl of Buchan. In the ensuing melee, the Duke was slain by Alexander Buchanan. Henry V had to return to France. He started by attacking the Dauphin-held town of Meaux. It turned out to be more difficult to overcome than first thought. However, after 7 months, it fell on May 11th, 1422. Henry then stayed in France until the end of August, when he suddenly died in 1422. He left an only child, his 9-month-old son, Henry, later to become Henry VI. On his deathbed, as Henry VI was only an infant, Henry V had given the Duke of Bedford responsibility for English France. The English laid siege to Orleans in October 1428, creating a stalemate for months. Food shortages within the city led to the likelihood that the city would be forced to surrender. In April 1429, Joan of Arc persuaded the Dauphin to send her to the siege, stating she had received visions from God telling her to drive out the English. She entered the city on April 29th, after which the tide began to turn against the English within a matter of days. She raised the morale of the troops, and they attacked the English redoubts, forcing the English to lift the siege. Inspired by Joan, the French took several English strongholds on the Loire River. They went on and swept through all the English forces, capturing the commander John Talbot, 1st Earl of Shrewsbury. This victory opened the way for the Dauphin to march to Reims for his coronation as Charles VII on July 16, 1429. After the coronation, Charles VII's army fared less well, with a defeat at the Siege of Paris. The tides had now changed against the French. Joan of Arc was captured in 1430. She was convicted and burned at the stake on May 30th, 1431, making her a French saint today. After her death, the fortunes of war turned dramatically against the English. In September, Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy, deserted to Charles VII, signing the Treaty of Arras that returned Paris to the King of France. This was a major blow to English sovereignty in France. By 1450, they had retaken Rouen and Normandy. Charles VII then concentrated his efforts on Gascony, the last province held by the English. Bordeaux, Gascony's capital, was besieged and surrendered to the French on June 30, 1451. John Talbot and his army retook the city on October 23, 1452. John Talbot had been persuaded to engage the French army at Castillon. However, the English were decisively defeated at the Battle of Castillon on July 17, 1453. The English took severe casualties, losing both Talbot and his son. This brought the 100 Years' War to its end. Although the Battle of Castillon is considered the last battle of the 100 Years' War, England and France remained formally at war for another 20 years. But the English were in no position to carry on the war, as they faced unrest at home. Bordeaux fell to the French on October 19th, and there were no more hostilities afterward. Following defeat in the 100 Years' War, English landowners vociferously complained about the financial losses resulting from the loss of their continental holdings. This is often considered a major cause of the Wars of the Roses, which started in 1455.